Welcome to KBA Vendor Viewpoint. This is Selina Parrish, KBA Director of Membership, Products, and Services. Today, we were featuring KBA-endorsed Unified Technologies, and we are excited to have Mike Gabhart, Unified's Vice President of Sales, and also KBA member Doug Lawson, President and Chief Operating Officer with Field and Main Bank in Henderson. Thank you both for being with us today. It's great to have both of you here to talk about Unified. And let's just kick off. Mike, tell all the listeners everything that Unified's doing to support the community banks in Kentucky.
I'm happy to, Selina. Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be, we're excited to be an endorsed vendor with the KBA. We've been recognized as an endorsed partner for probably 3 years now. And then we're super excited to be spotlighted on the vendor viewpoint. So there's 4 primary areas that we can help community banks. The first one, and really the legacy division of our company, is in communications, voice communications. That's phone systems, which anymore can be on-premise, they can be in a data center, or they can be in the cloud. And so we continue to design, install, and support those solutions for a lot of our customers. But the second area, and an area we're really picking up a lot of traction, and we've worked with a lot of the community banks, is in the physical security arena. That's door access, surveillance, alarm, all of those components. There's been some pretty significant enhancements, and unfortunately, there's been a pretty significant need for some of those enhancements related to physical security. So we're doing a lot of work in that area. Then we're also a full IT managed services shop, have a full suite of cloud and carrier services solutions. So really, the name of the company describes us well. We are Unified Technologies. We help unify all the different technologies your business and your bank might need to use.
Thank you, Mike. That's great information. And Doug, tell the audience, how long has Field and Main been using Unified, and exactly what services are you taking advantage of there at Field and Main?
Sure, absolutely, Selina. Thank you again. And Mike, good to see you.
Yes, sir.
We've been a customer of Unified Technologies for about a decade, primarily on their base system, the telecom, which is where we use them primarily. And we are aware of the other services, but as a banker, we all know that there's a lot of opportunities out there in the world. But from a good vendor standpoint, Mike and his team with Unified have been a big help to us as we grow out our system and mature in our model as well. But telecom's where we use them mostly. You want me to talk a little more about some of the history we've had? I think we talked about that, Mike. Is that okay to do that here, Selina?
I think that would be great. Give some history on all the things that Unified's done for you guys.
Yeah, well, I think it's important part of the dialogue to know that, one, we've been with them for a long time, which means we like them and we kept them around. But 4 or 5 years ago, we were starting to come into a time in our organization's growth pattern that said, you're going to have to upgrade your core vendor, which is a big undertaking, as most of my bank friends know. You just don't jump out there tomorrow and make a switch from someone you've been with for a long time, or even integrated within their certain platform. We're a Jack Henry bank, and we made that evaluation in 2021 with an integration in 22. And what we knew then was that we had bigger plans, not only just for our core system, but for all of our technology system, whether it's mobile apps or just how we were mobile ready as an organization, those kind of things. But we wanted to put a call center in that we call a customer care center, which meant we were going to do a massive upgrade to our phone system. And we wanted to go through a very similar process that we did for the core vendors. So we went to Unified early, and as they were already an approved vendor with us and a longtime partner. And they did a lot of the helping us and guiding us as we evaluated all the different systems, cloud, in-house, what the technology needs were. And Mike, don't ask me all the details because you guys did a great job on that. But we took it as serious as we do our core vendor to make those decisions for our organization. And then the support and implementation that came after that, I'm going to have to say was second to none. So when you tell your COO and your president that you're going to flip a switch and all the phones are going to work within a few minutes of each other, it's a scary day, and they did it right on the day. So the telecom side and a lot of guidance and support. So
That's wonderful. And it makes me think, as far as bank exams and the regulators and all the things that you as a banker have to be aware of. Was that all satisfactory to meet the examiner's needs?
yeah, it was, and thank you for asking, because it is an important part of our decision-making process, is to make sure that we've analyzed from a critical component, the disaster recovery, what happens if something goes wrong through that process. So I felt like that our IT team was well-versed and prepared, was well scripted. Everyone knew where they needed to be when we were making that transition with our phone system. We were able to have that reduced to writing. So there was no, the game plan was there. So when we turned the switch on, Unified prepared us not only as a management team, but even out into our locations where they had people either on site or on call in case there was an issue. So they were very well prepared themselves. And the regulators, they're going to want to know that those things have been thought through and that you have prepared yourself for such a transition event. So
Exactly.
Yeah, Sleep, if I could add a couple things there. So the compliance component just becomes one of the requirements of the project. And so compliance was obviously a big piece to evaluating different ways to solve the business need. But the business need always starts with the vision of what we're trying to accomplish. And where I would compliment Doug and Field and Main Bank is they had a clear vision. They knew where they were. They had a vision for where they wanted to go. And frankly, until we met that day down in Henderson and really talked about the vision and where we're trying to take the bank and the way it supports its customers, I don't know that we were hitting the mark. But once we sat down and Doug really laid out, hey, here's the vision. Here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be a leading bank in the way we interact with our customers and the different ways that we interact with our customers. And we want to integrate with our core banking system, and we want to empower these tool sets. Once we had the vision, then we could identify the different suppliers, the different ways to achieve that vision, and then focus on the execution. But until we had the right tool sets to achieve the vision, we were just supporting a phone system. And we've been proud to do that for Field and Main Bank for a long time, for about a decade, like he mentioned. And back then, they were a leading bank in adopting technologies that, took all their locations and put them on one common platform so that they could extension dial between the branches. Like 10 years ago, that was leading technology. Now you fast forward 10 years and you add chat and AI and video communication, and the world has changed. And so we had to first start with, okay, Doug, what's the vision? What are we trying to accomplish? He painted the picture. We identified the various options that were available to them. We ultimately vetted those options. They ultimately signed off on a project, and then we went into execution. Like I said, I guess that was probably about a year ago, Doug.
That'd be about right. Yeah, a year and a half.
And it really all aligned with the core migration that you did, because that's what empowered a lot of the functionality that you're bringing to life there at the bank now.
Yeah, that's right. It was the easy statement would be we wanted a radically different customer experience. And we mapped the journey of when a call comes in, or if you receive information off of a mobile app, question, or the internet. I mean, there's so many ways to receive information today that it's no longer sitting and waiting on the phone to ring. The way we handle data as a bank, or the way we interact with our customers, especially post-COVID, radically different. And so to sit down and have a planning session with a group that has all of their skill sets, all their ideas and creativity and these tools for us as a bank to give them our vision and yet be able to digest back everything they could offer us was like drinking out of a fire hydrant, Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't know they could do so much, but it was just a function of understanding a pattern and shooting for that long vision. We did that. So it's a good day.
It's technology. So if you can think it up, you can just about do it.
That's right.
If you want to think about, when someone does pick up the phone and calls you, or they call you from a mobile device, when it rings it in, and right before someone answers it, it's popping up their record and showing you the last 5 transactions. So that the person taking that call already has that information available. I mean, it saves time. It delivers a different concierge type of experience, which differentiates the bank. And then if you want to empower chatbots so that if someone's wanting to message with you on the website, you can go to 24/7 customer service delivered if you integrate with that core. And so it starts to become, the sky's the limit. If you can think it, you can make it happen. Now there's a cost for some of that, but it does present a pretty exciting future.
Oh, it is fascinating. And so for Field and Main, from start to finish, what are we talking? Months, or how long did a project like that take you?
I think back to the timeline. So we talked a few times when we were on our own, of course, Selina, trying to figure it out on our own, which I don't recommend for any bank in the world to do that, because they need to think through 9 million vendors, and you need to pare that down with people you trust. And we've gotten down, and we were a part of that. But it was that day that Mike mentioned. Once we sat in the room and thought through where we wanted to be, and there was clear understanding on both sides, from that point forward, it was only 3 or 4 months. It was there was setup, there was delivery, 6 at the most, and 0 interruptions at execution date. And I think that was probably the one thing that, no offense, Mike, surprised me a little bit, because I didn't think anybody could execute on a drop dead timeline date. Is at 11 o'clock on this day, we're going to make the switch, and they did. And so,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And that comes down to the project planning. So the evaluation and making sure we matched up the right solutions that delivered the vision, that was the longest part of the process, because we needed to take our time to evaluate the various options and to see, did they meet the compliance requirement? The pricing matters. So we had to get proposals back and see what the numbers look like. But Doug, I'd say we spent 4 months evaluating, which started with, here's where you are today, and here's what you invest to look like this today, and here are the problems or challenges we need to address. And then it was, okay, here are 3 different options we can evaluate moving forward. Here's the vision it delivers, and here's what this costs. So once those variables are in place, Doug and the bank's in a position to make a business decision that aligns with the vision, and then it's just sign off and you execute. And I appreciate Doug, you saying that you were almost surprised by how that went, because that is where a project can get fumbled. If it's not project managed appropriately, numbers aren't moved between carriers accurately and on time, they can go bad. Now, in your case, I appreciate we flipped the switch and 250 phones were on this system, and the next second they were on that system. But it took a lot of magic to make that happen as smooth as it did.
Wow! Well, congratulations to both of you.
Yeah, well, thank you to Unified, Mike and his team. But I think the big thing on that planning and the project planning was that there were multiple vendors in the background.
Yeah,
Unified also had to make sure that there was a lot of things we wanted done, or we had other vendors or technology we wanted kind of ported into that. And I think that was the part that surprised me. The phone mapping, well, you do that every day. It's the other things. And when you're relying on other people, that means you really have your checks and balances in place before that switch. And our team and Mike's team did that.
Yeah. Both your internal team and your external team. You work with good vendors that we had the opportunity to partner with to make that a success. And then your internal folks were great too.
Yep.
So, Doug, just thinking about the audience of other KBA member banks, do you have recommendations that it's like if they've got a big project like what you've already accomplished, like the top 4 things that you think a bank should think of first when looking to partner with Unified, what they need to have ready for that initial discussion to just get the project started?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think that I've always subscribed to the fact that plagiarism is just a form of flattery. And you need to know who you're going to look like, who you do want to be as an organization. And you probably need to use some of the bank network to call on people that you see doing things in the space where you're trying to get to. Now, there's 1,000 different combinations to get there. But not only would I take and say that I'm probably thankful for a few bank friends of mine that I was able to call and just have a genuine, candid conversation with and see what they were doing. But ultimately, when I got to our vendor list, I said, well, who are we already working with? And do they have the needs or the technologies and tools to give us what we want? So until the bank can decide who they want to be when they grow up, and because we spend so much money on technology, it's staggering the amount of money that banks spend to stay compliant and information security and physical security that Mike mentioned a while ago. We have a ton of outflowing dollars, and to protect that shareholder, our employees, and our communities, we've got to be good stewards of that money. So call on your resources, but I would encourage my bank friends to take the time necessary to have meetings with the different vendors and get their experience. And I think that's what separated Unified. Not only were they a vendor of ours already, so there was an inherent knowledge, but when we sat down and we realized, okay, there's 3 or 4 options here, and which one is the best one, Unified continued to come to the table with solutions where we found problems with others, and ultimately our level of comfort stayed with them. So big thing is talk to your friends, build a plan, and know your vision, and then find your vendor after that.
Sounds like great advice.
Yeah, I appreciate those comments, Doug. But it's probably important to note this was a fundamental shift in technology that we deployed. I mean, we went from very much an on-premise technology solution that we supported to a cloud-based, subscription-based communications platform. But by doing that, we empowered a lot of integrations into that core banking software. So the consumption model was very different. Where it lived was very different. But what Unified could bring was a consistent experience for the bank and the bank personnel. The fact that the phone system's not in the IT closet anymore, but it's in the cloud, it's just a variable of deployment. We can still deliver a great experience for, like I said, for the bank and their constituents. So, and I'll mention to this audience that will be watching this, we are seeing that shift in financial institutions and banks. 5 years ago, we probably had 30 community bank customers, and they all invested in on-premise technology solutions. And that may have been from a compliance and cybersecurity standpoint. Like, it may have just been expected, hey, if it's in my environment, I can protect it better. But in just the last year, I bet you we've taken 4 or 5 community banks to a cloud-based solution, which is interesting to think a bank would invest in a subscription-based technology solution when their access to capital is just different than most other businesses. But they still need the enhanced technology, the integrations, and that kind of thing. So that's been a pretty significant shift, Selina, we've seen in really just the 3 years since we've been an endorsed partner.
Certainly. And that makes me think, as fast as technology is moving, how are you at Unified trying to help our banks stay kind of ahead of the curve? It's like, where are we going next? And how do we educate them to make sure that they're ready for the next phase of life, so to speak, in what level of communications and technology they need to implement?
Yeah, so we definitely take a spirit of education. We are not trying to sell anything, to be honest with you. We're trying to educate our different prospects and customers on the various options, and then help them compare and contrast, and ultimately match them up with the best solution at the best price point, which delivers the right solution to meet their business objectives. So it's almost like we take an educational approach versus a sales approach. That all kind of combines in there together, but just being diligent in that education, being very upfront. This is where you are today. Here's the problems or challenges we see, and here's what you spend to look like that. And then we show them, here's what you could look like. Here's the financial investments you're talking about, and here are the benefits that you'll realize by looking like this from a technology perspective. Our goal is to put folks like Doug in a position to make a great business decision. Not hope it's a good decision, but know, as a matter of fact, because they've done their due diligence, that they've made a great business decision for the bank and they're going the right direction.
And it just sounds like every KBA member needs to reach out to you. So tell our audience, what is the best way for the bankers to contact you at Unified, Mike, and your team? What is the best way for our bankers to reach out to you guys?
Well, first of all, you can ask Selina Parrish for my number, and she'll be happy to put you in touch with me almost immediately. But we also just released our new, just published our new website. So www.unified-team.com, unified-team.com. I would love for you to check out that website. Again, we just paid to get an uplift to that, and so we're excited about what that looks like. And then next, at the spring conference, we will have a booth. Our account rep, John Marshall, will be there working that booth, and he would love to meet you, get a business card, and start a conversation. It's important to note that we don't charge money for the evaluation that we've discussed with Doug. Our goal is to dig in, understand where you are, get a feel for the vision and where you want to go, and then show you a path that makes good business sense. And we've just had a lot of success keeping it that simple, Selina.
That's excellent, Mike. And I did hit your new website this morning. I took a look at it, and I thought just seeing it say connecting and protecting our clients. That resonates for all the banks, I think, and for all of our KBA members. So thank you, Mike. Thank you, Doug, for taking your time today to provide this excellent information for our audience. And we also have a link on KBA's website for Unified Technologies. So you can go out to KBA's website at kybanks.com, and that's where we also have Unified information. But thanks again, guys, for being on today. And this episode of Vendor Viewpoint is a wrap, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Good to see you.